Well, hey there, it's Liz Rohr from Real World NP, and you are watching the Real World NP YouTube channel. We make weekly episodes to help save you time, frustration, and help you take the best care of your patients. Well, hey there, I'm back. I took a little pause from the podcast and YouTube channel, and I had intended to publish the episode that I recorded telling you that I had a break, and there was a technical glitch, which my team and I did not know until very late into our break. So apologies if you've been wondering where I've been or where we've been as a team. So I'm actually, as you can tell, if you're watching the YouTube channel, if you're listening to the podcast, maybe you can tell, maybe you can't tell, but I want to do things a little bit differently on the podcast and the YouTube channel. So first thing is that we're going to do seasons. So I've actually had Real World NP for about 4 years now, and the podcast I've had for about 2 years of the 4. Yeah, I've kind of had breaks here and there, but I haven't really had planned breaks necessarily. Like I've done holidays and stuff like that, like over the winter holidays. Yeah, so I want to start doing the idea of like podcast seasons, and I'm just gonna kind of play it by ear. I feel like when I started Real World NP, it was in 2019, and I was in a different stage in my career, and the profession was in a different place. It was before the pandemic happened, and yeah, the world was just very different. And I've grown as a person, and I've gotten to know like the NP community with Real World NP. Yeah, it just really feels like at this moment in time that it's really important to talk about like the life of a nurse practitioner. So a lot of the episodes, if you're brand new, welcome. But if you've been here before, you've probably seen the episodes we've done that are clinical topics or talking about the challenges of primary care, navigating a little bit of that role transition, and yeah, just like other kinds of things. We're still going to cover clinical topics. However, I want to cover clinical topics in a slightly different way. And then I also want to have a lot of like real life, real conversations, because I feel like, I don't know about you, but it just feels like I still have a lot of heaviness hung over from the pandemic. And I don't know, I feel like especially as healthcare providers, like we kind of missed out in the way that it feels like the rest of the world didn't. Like everyone was at home and taking like this, people weren't necessarily taking a break. And it was a really hard time, to be clear. And there was something about it where, I just feel like we as healthcare providers, whatever our roles have been, it's just we've worked really hard and kind of did a double time instead of having like a pullback that other people got to have. So I don't know. It just feels like, I don't know. There's just some things I want to talk about this season of the podcast. There's a couple of things I'm really excited for. We actually have a whole bunch of interviews lined up, including ones on like the life of an NP. We've talked a little bit about burnout before, but there's a different lens that I want to look at it through. And I have a phenomenal guest lined up. Oh my gosh, I just cannot wait for you to meet her if you don't know her already. And a couple of different people that I've invited, a couple of clinicians, some specialists. We have some interviews coming up and some solo episodes that I think you'll really appreciate. Just me. Again, if you're not watching on the YouTube channel, you can't see this. I'm just approaching it a little bit more differently. I want things to be really real and like authentic. Authenticity is really important. Not that my other content that I've made isn't authentic, but I think, like I said, I think things have just evolved, and I'm just trying to be more human-centered and more authentic to myself and who I really am. And so as much as I like the production values of the other videos that I've made, I think this is a little bit more my speed. And I don't know, I just feel like it feels more real for me. So I'm really excited for this season. I also am going to have some guests on just to have some like real talk behind the scenes. So talking about career related things, or just, I don't know, one of my friends, so we haven't recorded this podcast yet, but we have a plan to have one that's just kind of like talking about life as a PCP, as a primary care provider, and just some storytelling and some humor. And I don't know, I just feel like there's some levity that's being called for me right now to share. So yeah. So like I said, there is going to be clinical content. There are going to be specialist interviews that are like working on putting those on the books. I haven't recorded those yet at the time of this recording. However, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm interested to hear what you think about this direction we're taking this season. And if you have any thoughts or feedback, like we always like hearing from you, and we just really appreciate you so much. I mean, I don't know, maybe you don't feel like I say this all the time. I feel like I say it all the time, or at least it's in my heart all the time. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you for being here, for listening, whether or not you are like a customer or client of ours. Like I really do believe in the power of community and the power of nurse practitioners and our just kind of collective spirit, right? And so I don't know, that feels really important kind of for this like next chapter to kind of talk more about and build on. That's one of the challenges I think about being a nurse practitioner, but especially a new nurse practitioner, is this kind of isolation and loneliness. So, and just feeling like we're the only one that's struggling. So yeah, so I'm really excited to share this upcoming season's stuff. And yeah, we'll be sharing another episode with you real soon. Thanks again so much for listening.